Francis says he changed his mind and he would consider coming back to the UFC, would you be open to having Francis back?
He would consider coming back to UFC if what? One thing I've learned over the years about Francis doesn't always mean what he says publicly. What he says behind the scenes are different than what he says publicly. I'm not a big fan. I would be shocked if Francis ever came back here on lots of different levels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't always mean what he says publicly.
He got knocked cold by Anthony Joshua, and he beat a kind of a forgettable heavyweight. And I think that pay-per-view did like 10,000 buys. Did not do well. Did Francis make a mistake leaving the UFC?
Well, you'd have to define what a mistake is, right? Because for his pockets, he did not make a mistake, right? Fighting Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, win or loss, he made a lot of money that he was not going to make in the UFC. Legacy-wise, like you said, he's already forgotten in terms of the heavyweight division in MMA. So legacy-wise, I think it damaged his legacy tremendously. You know, had he won those boxing matches, that would have obviously helped his legacy a ton, right? And like for instance, after he fought Tyson Fury the first time, and I think a lot of us believe that he won. I think it was, pretty close and debatable, but, I would argue that he probably won. I don't think anybody was arguing that it was a bad move at that point, right? It's after he lost, and now the UFC's like, whatever, bro, do your thing. Now everybody's asking if it was a mistake. But he made more money in those two matches than he could have made fighting in the UFC for the next 10 years. So, was it a mistake on that part? No, but his legacy is going to suffer. Like, he's not going to be in the talks of the greatest heavyweight ever, period. And losing those two boxing matches was probably the worst thing that could have happened for him, right? Because, it just humanized him a lot. And, financially, again, it lined his pockets. He did great. And that's, like you said, ultimately that's what this is. It's prize fighting. He got the biggest prize. So who are we to say that he made a mistake? So it depends on what you care about. Businessman is the business side of it, and he's like, his opposition to that is going to be like, okay, well, this fight brought in, just arbitrary numbers, say $100 million, and I'm getting 3 of that, and the UFC's getting 97 of it, whereas in boxing I'm getting 50 of it, and they're getting 50 of it. He's gonna be like, why am I selling myself short here? Regardless of whether I need 50 or whether 3 of make me happy for the rest of my life, you feel like you're being more of being used a little bit, and I think that was honestly probably a bigger role in it than him actually just needing that much money and him feeling like he's a cog in the wheel versus being a wheel or just being used for something.
Arman is the backup. He's the backup for that fight. So he will come to Las Vegas, and he's got to make weight, and he'll be the backup. And then we'll see how that fight plays out, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
see your boy Izzy chirping online. Like, right now, yeah.
You
man.
calling out Israel Adesanya? Is that what you're doing, bugged out?
No. He said something about my name. He said something about me.
Would you consider going back to 185 pounds? A super fight between you and Israel Adesanya.
That's if he want to run it.
You'd be down?
Why would I not be down? Y'all see these muscles? Yeah, I ain't the only one flexing on them. The person that gave that boy the most trouble was Kevin Gasson, dog. Built like a mattress. Inside fighter. Footwork. A little bit of boxing. That's the kryptonite. Southpaw, too. You already
I always used the future me to motivate me in the present. Right now, I still have this vision, and I've talked about this on the show before. I have this vision of me taking off the gloves for the last time in an arena somewhere, in a locker room, with my hands are on the sink, and I'm looking myself in the mirror. Just got done showering, or I just got out of the octagon for the last time, and I have to look myself in the mirror, and I have to ask myself a question. A very, 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 maybe the most important question I've ever had to ask myself in my entire professional career. Michael, did you do every single thing that you possibly could with the talents and the gifts that God gave you? And I hope, I pray in that moment, I can look myself in the face, in the mirror, in my eyes, and answer that question honestly and without regret.
He said, we're two guys who walk forward and are going to collide anyways, whether it's on the ground or on the feet. And I really believe in the firepower I have in my hands. Now, if he is saying that against a guy that knocked out Max Holloway the way you did, do you think that's a mistake?
That's a very, very wishful thinking, Kevin. That he thinks that he has more like powerful punch than me. That's a very wishful thinking. I challenge him. Like, yeah. we can do only separate like a boxing match, a grappling match, a wrestling match. Everywhere I beat him, everywhere, however I want. This is how confident I feel.
Sure.
Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal reported that Jon Jones is facing a criminal summons issued on Tuesday in connection with a misdemeanor charge for allegedly leaving the scene of an accident. He has been ordered to appear in court for a bond arraignment on July 24th. According to the report, an Albuquerque police officer was investigating a traffic accident that occurred on February 21st, where a woman was found in the passenger seat of a car. She was reportedly visibly intoxicated and partially undressed from the waist down. The woman told authorities that Jones was driving the vehicle and fled the scene on foot. She later contacted him, and a police service aide spoke to a man on the line believed to be Jones. The caller was allegedly heavily intoxicated and made threatening remarks, suggesting he had the ability to use lethal force through other individuals. Due to the perceived threat, the aide called for backup. Another officer then spoke to the same man, who allegedly repeated similar veiled threats. The individual never directly confirmed whether he was indeed Jon Jones. Later, when interviewed in person, Jones reportedly told police the woman had left his home earlier that day under the influence and only contacted him after the crash occurred. He claimed the person who answered the phone spoke in a highly unprofessional manner, causing him to question whether the call was legitimate. The woman also told police that she had consumed alcohol and mushrooms at Jones's home and remembered needing to change her clothes there. Her next memory was waking up at the crash scene, and the last person she recalled driving the vehicle was Jon Jones. Police records also show that Jones made 13 calls to her phone between the time of the crash and the following morning.
Please.
Jon Jones is facing a criminal summons issued on Tuesday in connection with a misdemeanor charge.